So here's a big question for you. Can a single piece of software solve a national education crisis? Well, we're about to find out. Today, we're going to look at this really fascinating experiment happening in Guyana. They're putting a standard digital learning platform head to head with one that's supercharged with AI. And the big question is, can it actually, transform how kids learn? Let's dive in and see. Okay, to really get why this matters so much, you've got to start with this number right here, 83%. An estimated 83% of university graduates leave Guyana. I mean, that's a massive brain drain, and it's a huge threat to the country's future. And you know where it all starts? With some really deep-seated problems in their education system. And this creates a huge tension. You see, on one hand, Guyana just discovered these massive oil reserves, which is fueling some really rapid growth. But here's the problem. They just don't have the skilled workforce to keep up. So it begs the question, right? How do you build a future when your best and brightest are heading for the exit and so many of your kids are getting left behind from the start? So that brings us right to the heart of the problem. Before we can even talk about the cool AI solution, we've got to really understand the challenge it's up against. Okay, now take a look at this. What's so wild is how clearly you can see the educational divide. I mean, the basic reading and math skills are low across the whole country, but the gap, wow, it is stark. If you look at the coast, about half the young students are getting close to mastering the material. But then you go into the remote hinterland, and that number just plummets to below 40%. So you see, it's not just a skills gap, it's a geography gap. All right, so with that huge challenge laid out, let's get to the good part, the high-tech solution they decided to test. So this local organization, STEMGuyana, they stepped in with a really brilliant idea, these after-school learning pods. Think of them like little hubs set up in community centers. They offer small group tutoring, a digital learning platform, and this is key, a human facilitator to help out. They're reaching kids in the most vulnerable areas, and basically, this whole setup becomes the real-world lab for this experiment. Okay, so here's exactly how the experiment was set up. The researchers got 140 students and just randomly split them into two groups. Group 1, the control group, they got a pretty standard digital platform with all the lessons. Now, Group 2, the treatment group, they got the exact same lessons, and this is super important. But their platform had a few extra AI-powered features baked in. It's a really smart way to make sure you're only measuring the impact of the AI. So you're probably wondering, what does AI-powered actually mean in this case? Well, it really boils down to three key things. First, there's an AI chatbot that's basically a personal tutor, available anytime. Second, there's an AI quiz generator that gives instant feedback. And third, a text-to-speech function that can read lessons out loud, which, you can imagine, is a total game changer for any kid who struggles with reading. All right, all of that sounds fantastic on paper, right? But the million-dollar question is, does it actually work? To figure that out, the researchers were smart. They broke that one big question down into three smaller, much more specific questions. First up, and this is really the most important one, does the AI group actually see a bigger jump in their math and English scores than the other group? I mean, that's the bottom line, right? It's the ultimate test of whether this thing is effective. Okay, the second question is all about engagement. We all kind of assume that more time spent learning equals better results, but is that actually true? The researchers really wanted to know if there was a direct, measurable link between how much time a kid spent on the platform and how much their test scores improved. And third, the really tactical question. If the AI platform works, what's the magic ingredient? Which specific feature is doing all the heavy lifting? Is it the AI tutor? You can ask for help anytime? Is it the constant practice from the quizzes? Or maybe it's that read aloud feature. Figuring this out is so crucial for making the tech even better down the road. Now, to answer questions like these, you can't just wing it. You need a really fair scientific method. So let's take a look at how the researchers designed this whole experiment to get the most reliable answers they possibly could. They used something called a randomized controlled trial, or an RCT for short. Now, that might sound super complex, but it's actually a pretty simple 5-step process. Step 1, get the students. 2, give them all a pretest so you know their starting point. 3, randomly, and that's the key word, assign them to either the AI group or the non-AI group. 4, run the program for 8 weeks. And finally, 5, give everyone a post-test to see what changed. This method, it's really the gold standard for figuring out what actually causes an effect.
But here's the thing, this study isn't just about test scores. It's also about something just as important, motivation. The whole approach is based on this really powerful idea from psychology called self-determination theory. And it basically says that for us to feel motivated, we all need three things. Autonomy, which is a sense of control. Competence, that feeling that you're actually good at something. And relatedness, which is all about connecting with other people.
And this is where it all comes together. The whole program is designed to hit all three of those needs. The AI platform gives kids autonomy by letting them learn at their own pace. It builds their sense of competence with instant feedback and quizzes that help them really master the skills. And that human facilitator in the learning pod, that provides the crucial sense of relatedness and community. It's this awesome hybrid model that combines the best of technology with that irreplaceable human touch. So, okay, we've looked at the problem, we've seen the potential solution, and we've walked through how they're testing it. But that brings us back to the big question. Why should we care? Why does one experiment in one country, Guyana, matter to the rest of the world? Well, the potential impact is actually massive, and it kind of ripples out to everybody. Just think about it for a second. For teachers, on the ground, this could be the first real playbook on how to actually use AI in the classroom effectively. For governments and policymakers, this is the hard evidence they need to say, yes, let's invest in this technology to close these learning gaps. And for the tech developers, the people actually building the AI, this stuff is gold. It's real-world data showing them which features move the needle, which helps them build better tools for all of us. But at the end of the day, like the researchers themselves say, this is all about equity. Think about it. If technology like this is proven to work just as well in a remote village as it does in a big city, well, that could be an incredibly powerful tool for leveling the educational playing field for kids absolutely everywhere. And that really leaves us with one last big thought. We are just at the very, very beginning of figuring out AI in education. But this experiment in Guyana, it's a huge step forward. Because it's not just about whether an AI can bump up some test scores. It's about something much bigger. It's about whether we can use this kind of technology to build a world where every single child, no matter where they happen to live, has the tools they need to reach their absolute full potential. And, well, the answer to that question, that could change everything.